Alrighty YouTube, it is Friday the 13th, 2014, and as you can see, the Sears has went through some recent changes. It's just a quick update here, then I'll let you go. Still got to cut the grass. It's getting really long and it's been raining the last few days, so I better get to that. Anyway, back to the Sears. You can see I've got the front axle assembly all put together. I've got the new tires and wheels on. Painted the center of the hubs green to sort of go with the paint scheme there, the black on green. I think it'll end up looking pretty cool. End up using, like Fearless Front, the stock center pieces, but I put new Heim joints on. End up having to use a reducer. That way I could use the factory bolts, or at least factory bolt holes with the same size bolt. You can see on the originals, they were that same cheap type of joint that Fearless Front had, although I think mine were in a little bit better condition, but still, now is definitely the time to change them. But either way, the bolts aren't coming off of there, so I bought separate bolts and made my own custom steering assembly there. Put everything back together, greased everything. You can see under the tractor there, I sort of had to take some metal off between the two new Heim joints in the middle there. They were touching, but they should end up working out fine now. And you can see here, for my drag link, I ended up using a tie rod, a used one I found on eBay, off of a Polaris 500 snowmobile from the 90s. I don't know, I just went by the length, and it actually ended up working pretty well. I ended up taking off about an inch off of each end, and it bolted up perfectly. So I've rebuilt some other parts here. When I went to get my original steering wheel off, which if you remember was broke to begin with, I ended up having a hell of a time with that. Ended up using a gear puller on it after many days of PB Blaster and trying to get the center bolt off. First thing I did was snap the center bolt off into the steering shaft, and then while trying to get the old steering wheel off, it actually shattered. You can see here there's cracks all through it. It is all messed up, and the metal sleeve that's supposed to be part of the steering wheel and not come out, that actually sits around the shaft, actually pulled all the way out and was still left stuck, rusted on the shaft. So I end up cutting that piece off. See my scrap metal pile here? I don't know if I can see any of it. Here's some. It was like a little knurled collar that was inside the steering wheel that went all the way around. But we cut that off. I tried drilling and tapping the old bolt out of the steering shaft and probably broke the easy out off in the remains of the bolt in the steering shaft. I tried to drill that out, broke the drill bit off inside the easy out inside the steering shaft, and so I decided to call it a day and ordered a new steering shaft. But when I got it, even though it was from supposedly the same type of tractor, it turns out that it was actually about an inch shorter. My original steering shaft had, you can see it here, this little metal collar. It was about an inch tall, and also the two metal washer with a rubber boot piece like most of these have in it. It had both of those, and the shaft itself was about an inch longer. Well, when I put this new one in, I saw right away that it was going to be too short. Thankfully, it's sort of a blessing, when I ordered a new steering wheel off eBay, the one that I got, I bought it pretty early on and didn't know any better, and I bought one from an SS12. It was like a 1968 one, so it's an older style steering wheel. And if you can see, it sort of dips down here, whereas, let me grab the original one. Whereas the original style steering wheel was pretty flat. And if you could see, if I had gotten another one of those, I doubt it would have worked with the shorter shaft. So I actually worked out there. I was pretty lucky. But then I found a piece of some sort of packing. I wasn't really sure what it was. Just clear plastic, and it actually fit in the center cap perfect there, and just painted it green. Because I've tried finding an original steering wheel center cap for these old steering wheels off of the SS tractors, and I cannot find one. So put my throttle assembly back in. I'll be using new cable to attach to the diesel motor when I put it in. Got my new pan seat on, the black truck bed liner. Turned out pretty well, I think. As you can see, I did the dash in tan like I had talked about before. When I got the original tractor, this battery shield tray was missing, so I actually bought one of those on eBay, and then I reused a piece from the old seat that was all messed up and full of water as the liner piece here to keep the hood and that shield from rubbing against each other and rubbing all the paint off. So that worked out pretty well. Just finishing getting that put together. Got the clutch assembly all back in. I left the original spring on it for now, at least until I get everything together. I can get a new belt and see if I'm going to need. I'm sure I'll probably have to get a tougher or a little bit shorter spring, one or the other. Other than that, the clutch assembly all went back together pretty easy. Everything's stock. If you can see, I didn't put back the linkage hook up here for where the clutch and brake pedal go together, because I'm not obviously going to have that still hooked up. The clutch and brake will be separate. So got that off of there, and I also cut off this bracket here. There was a bracket that went up to a safety switch. I'm sure it was probably like the clutch position sensor or something. Probably wouldn't let you start the tractor without the clutch pressed. So I took that out of there too. But that's about where I'm at with everything. Slowly but surely getting this put back together. Still haven't touched the transaxle. Probably be diving into that maybe this weekend. I don't know. Also, just finishing this up here. My tractor did not have a clutch brake pedal of any kind when I bought it. So I actually ended up finding one off an SS16. And because it's no longer clutch and brake, I took the silver label out that said clutch and brake and just painted it over green. And I don't know, I think it looks pretty sharp. So, but the problem is, since this never had one, and I'm not sure exactly what it would have had on it originally, I'm getting conflicting reports. There's no bolt holes here to bolt that up. So what I was thinking about doing is sliding it on, and I could probably do, rather than trying to drill and tap these holes, which would be a pain in the ass, I could probably just put a little bit of weld right here and then repaint that section, and it'll probably work just fine. And there's no real reason to ever take that piece off. You don't need to take it off in order to get the shaft out if you have a clutch issue or anything like that. So that's probably what I'll do. But I think it looks pretty sharp. So anyway, that's about where I'm at. And until next time, have a good day and look forward to future videos.